6ix9ine won't survive being locked up. Here's why.
Mr. Bobs, Houston, I love you, you hear me?
Do you want to win any of these items on your screen? If so, be sure to watch the whole video, leave a like, and comment the hidden message. And with that being said, let's get right into the video. The case of 6ix9ine is one that has been unfolding in the rap world for over 6 months now. And the more things happen in it, the more things that continue to look better for the rapper and worse. But one thing is certain, he had better hope to get out of prison, because if he has to stay in, he won't survive. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to King Trending. Number 5. Why 6ix9ine is in jail.
Law enforcement. In October, he was sentenced to 4 years probation for using a child in performance.
Before we talk about why 6ix9ine is going to have trouble in prison, it's no doubt important to talk about how the controversial rapper ended up in prison in the first place. It all happened on November 18, 2018, where he got arrested on very serious charges. But these charges that were put on him included racketeering, conspiracy, and much more. 9 separate crimes were put on against 6ix9ine during that arrest. According to reports, 6ix9ine, Kafano Shadi Jordan, Jamel Murda Jones, Tishalis Butler, Fugan Fubanga Lovick, and Fahim Crippy Walters were all part of a group that was running numerous operations in the many boroughs of New York City. They were committing numerous crimes to ensure their territory and dominance, of which they were also making a large profit for said group. In case you didn't know, racketeering is defined as the illegal running of a business in order to make money. For this instance, 6ix9ine and his crew were selling illicit substances and other things all over New York City. And once they did these crimes, they would then eventually go and do more in other territories to expand the reach of the group they were a part of. Eventually, these activities got the attention of the FBI, who took what this group and the group they worked for very seriously. And that's why when they went to bust them down, they had all sorts of evidence against them. 6ix9ine was also charged with carrying a firearm for the use of maintaining his illegal business. This was one of the conspiracy charges, for he's charged with the use of using an item to scare off his competitors so that his business wouldn't be messed with. To be clear, 6ix9ine has not been charged with the taking of a life, which would really put him in a tight spot. However, the act of almost taking a life or threatening to take a life with a firearm is just as bad. Members and associates of the enterprise promoted and celebrated the criminal conduct of the enterprise, namely narcotics distribution, acts involving violence, and the use of firearms in music and on social media.
Prosecutors, and I spoke to 2 longtime criminal defense attorneys. They all concur. No way the government could promise Daniel Hernandez a sentence.
The indictment reads, the purpose of the enterprise include preserving and protecting the power, territory, and profits of the enterprise through acts involving taking out a rival and threats of violence. Among other things, 6ix9ine was also charged with aiding and abetting a robbery for the group he worked for, part of his proof of how involved he was in the group. All in all, the charges and claims against 6ix9ine were significant, backed by evidence. And these charges were very heavy in terms of the sentence that they carried. In fact, 2 of the charges carried life sentences if he was openly convicted of them, which led 6ix9ine to do some very bad things in the eyes of many, mainly that he accepted a plea deal. So while he was in danger before just being in prison, now he faces a far greater threat, the threat of his former allies turning against him. Number 4. No place for snitches.
Yeah.
What y'all on? This regular. What y'all on?
He def getting clout off your page.
If we're being honest here, 6ix9ine only has himself to blame for just about everything he's going through. He chose to be part of this group, he chose to do these crimes, and he chose not to stop doing these things when it was clear that things were only getting worse. And then he chose to do that plea deal, all of which has led him to this danger that he's in now. Because for the longest time, 6ix9ine proclaimed that he was part of a group called the Trey Nines, and that was part of the reason he was arrested. He sang a lot about his connections to the group, and he would tell about just anyone who would listen how tough he was, because he was part of this group. And it was as if he felt compelled to say it, or else no one else would believe it. But just because you say you're part of a group like that doesn't mean that you really are. Just as important, if you are a part of that group, you have to follow the rules. 1. Know your role and do your job. 2. Look after the group because it's like family. And 3. Don't betray the group. There are many ways you can betray a group, taking the life of a fellow member without orders, cutting deals with a rival group, and so on and so forth. However, no bigger sin exists in a group like this than when one of their members becomes a snitch. Example, they decide they don't want to be part of the group anymore, and to fix the situation, they go to the cops with the information about them so they can take them down. To groups like the Trey 9, there is no greater betrayal, and they definitely repay that kind of betrayal. Hence the phrase that has taken on worldwide, snitches get stitches. And 6ix9ine is now a snitch because of the plea deal that he cut with the FBI. First off, the plea deal had him turn over evidence that could help prosecute the guys that were also arrested alongside 6ix9ine. The very same people who 6ix9ine once called his little own crew and friends until they weren't. And 6ix9ine fired them only weeks before the arrest, which points him to understanding that something was about to go down.
Austin, Texas, I fired everybody in my team. I got no manager, I got no booking agent, no PR, no public. I don't got nobody on my team.
But still, he had the help put them away, and now he's really done a good job of making that happen. As if that wasn't enough betrayal, he actually proved how much he was a part of the Trey Nines. There weren't many who were sure of how serious of a member he was, and well, apparently he knew a lot, because he then confessed to the crimes that the FBI knew about, and also talked about the ones that they didn't know about. This means that not only did he snitch to his former friends, but to the crew. He swore he was a part of it, and at one point in time couldn't help but talk about his connection, all because he wanted the lesser prison sentence. Now sure, objectively, the desire to not have to spend the rest of your life in prison is appealing, but at what cost? When you're literally turning everyone you call a friend in regards to the Trey Nines basically over to the FBI, can you really live with betraying all of those people? Apparently so, especially since at the time of this posting, over half of the members of the group that 6ix9ine were arrested with have either pled guilty or taken their own deals to get out of their own jail time. However, despite all of that, none of them have snitched, just 6ix9ine. That's going to cost them dearly, both in prison and out, and now he's branded. In that world, being a snitch is a mark that you have to carry wherever you go, and no matter what you say or try to explain, the mark of a snitch is one that won't be taken away. So his life in that life is over in numerous ways. Not to mention when it comes to his tough guy image, there's not a single person out there in the rap world who thinks he's tough now, because he proved that when push came to shove, he broke and broke hard. Number 3, the threats in prison.
That's right, people. 6ix9ine is snitching on his gang, and he's going into witness protection.
As I noted before, there's a lot of reasons why 6ix9ine did what he did and took the plea deal. But the biggest one by far is that he didn't feel safe in the general population section that he was put into at first. Before his plea deal, he didn't feel safe in prison, so he felt that he needed to be away from certain groups, including the Trey Nines. Part of this was because he was told the Treys weren't happy with him in some fashions. So the prison gave him a perfect opportunity to tune him up, if you will. So after appealing to the judge, he was put in the non-violent wing of the prison, one that isn't filled with people of loyalty to the group that he was with or ticked off, nor have shown any indication of major violence. Ironically, this is rather a smart play, as it would protect him in the long run and ensure that he gets his protection that he needs for however long he'll be in the prison that he's currently in. Remember, he's still in prison and has been since November, and he hasn't officially been sentenced yet, despite pleading guilty to kick off his plea deal. And as of yet, he's not set to be sentenced until January of 2020. The FBI won't want to lose their information source to help take down the other criminals and the ones on the street, so they'll protect him the best as they can anyway. After all, groups like this have a lot of pull, and they'll use that pull to try and get at 6ix9ine if they feel he can be big enough of a threat to them. And based on the plea deal, it sounds like he can. They're going to try and get him. Number 2, the life and crimes of 6ix9ine.
It's just I got arrested for being in the situation.
Did you plead guilty? You pled guilty, right?
I pled guilty like this quick, blood.
Why?
Without a doubt, 6ix9ine is one of the most controversial rappers of this generation. He is the embodiment of the stereotypes that have been thrown at the genre over the years. This in turn has led 6ix9ine to commit numerous crimes. In fact, his rap sheet is actually quite long, and he's flirted with many serious sentences. But here's the rub. In every single one of them, he's gotten off with little more than a warning. No joke. He's actually really good at this, in fact. His life of crime started back in 2015, back before he was calling himself 6ix9ine, where he and some friends made a video with some girls. The video was very explicit, which isn't enough for an arrest, especially given what's on the internet these days. However, what was illegal was that one of the girls in the video was underage, which technically made this a crime, and 6ix9ine was arrested for it. Now, here's where things get interesting. 6ix9ine didn't deny that the girl was in the video or that he asked her to do the explicit things. He was actually proud of that, and it was part of him boosting his credibility in the rap world. But what he denied, though, was knowing that the girl was underage, which is actually a rather brilliant defense. Or if you don't know the girl's age, how can you be accused of committing an offense, especially when the video was made clear that the girl wasn't oppressed or forced into doing anything she clearly didn't want to do. And because of this and his lawyers, 6ix9ine got off on probation, and all he had to do in return was get his GED, do some community service, and write an apology to the parents of the girl in question. If this was another person, he might have not gotten that break. Number 1, the threats outside of prison.
It's a knife.
I don't care how much money
It's a
you got. If you a rat,
Now, given the nature of this case, with all the groups involved, you can see why 6ix9ine is desperate to get out of the prison, as court-mandated appearances have proven the effects of prison life are already getting to 6ix9ine. He's a bit dried out in terms of his hair, he had to gain some muscle, likely to protect himself just in case, and he's obviously nervous all about the things that are going on in his life right now. But the truth is, just because he gets out of prison doesn't mean he'll be any safer, because while there are clear and present threats in prison, there are also some waiting for him outside of it. I'm not trying to sound grim here, but the truth is, because of his actions, 6ix9ine is not not only painted himself as a target, he's someone that many people are going to be interested in should he be released in a good amount of time. This is actually why part of his plea deal, he's promised protection by the government in regards to witness protection. This means he's literally so afraid of what's in prison and what's waiting for him outside of prison that he wants to have a whole new life, which is pretty drastic if you think about it, but it's one that many had to make because of their association with groups like the Trained Nines. So what it literally boils down to is this: would you rather risk taking a chance in prison with all the groups that you know want you gone, or do you take a chance getting out, getting a new life, and hoping that they never find you? The choice seems pretty clear here to 6ix9ine, and that's why he took the plea deal, because while he would never survive long-term in prison, with the FBI's help, he can at least have a chance at life again, potentially. And so there you have it, a breakdown of 6ix9ine's situation, as well as why he's trying desperately to get out of jail. So do you think he'll get out before it's too late, or do you think the court will have him remain in prison until a certain amount of time has been paid? Also, who do you think 6ix9ine has to fear the most in prison? Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on King Trending.
A simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's really your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. Go for it.